Welcome back. Today we are going to be learning about algebraic expressions, and our focus for our lesson today is going to be translating written phrases into algebraic expressions and just identifying those parts of the expression to use that correct mathematical terminology as we write those out. So we are going to go over some key vocabulary terms. We'll look at words to math, which means we're going to look at what do those words mean when we read them? What does that mean mathematically? What operations are we using? And then we'll do a few practice problems where we just translate some phrases into algebraic expressions, and we'll do the same thing, but just apply it to a real world context and do some word problems. So let's get into it. We have 5 vocabulary terms for today, and we're going to start off with our main topic, algebraic expression. What is it? An algebraic expression is a math phrase that includes at least one variable, and that just is the perfect segue to our next vocabulary word, which is variable. What is a variable? So a variable is a letter or symbol that we use in mathematics to just represent an unknown amount. You could even use a question mark or a triangle or a star, but most often what we see in mathematics is the letter X, but you can see other letters like N or A. So variable is just representing, we don't know what this equals. We don't know this amount, and so this letter or shape will replace that while we solve through this problem. So we have an algebraic expression includes a variable, and a variable is an unknown amount. Our next word is a constant, and a constant is a number that doesn't change. It's not attached to a variable. So let's take a look at this example of an algebraic expression. So to make better sense of the rest of our vocabulary words, we're going to look at the algebraic expression 3x plus 5. So it's an expression because it contains a variable, and in this case, the variable is x. We have 3x plus 5. And then we just talked about what a constant is. And so it's a number that doesn't have a variable, basically. And we can see that in this example, it's the number 5. Our next 2 vocabulary words are term and coefficient. So a term is the part of an expression that's separated by addition or subtraction, or what the operation is. So our first term is 3x, and then our second term is 5. Our coefficient is our last vocabulary word, and a coefficient is the number multiplied by a variable. So in this case, we have 3x. So we don't write it, and we talked about this in our last lesson, and if you want to check that out, check the link in the description. But with multiplication, a lot of the times you can do 3, write multiplication sign x, but when we see both of those x's, it can be a little confusing. So sometimes we'll do 3 dot x, or you can just simply smush them together, 3x. We don't see the multiplication symbol, but it means that the operation we're using is multiplication. So a coefficient is the number in front of the variable that's showing us that we're going to multiply. And for this example, 3 is the coefficient for the first term, 3x. So those are our vocabulary words. Let's get into the big idea of the lesson. So the big idea for today is to learn how to read phrases, read through words, and turn it into math. We want to be able to look at a phrase and know what type of operation we're going to use when we're problem solving in mathematics. So we're going to start with just kind of listing out some common phrases that you will see in math problems to help you decipher what operation to use. So to start, we're going to start with addition, and you will see common words like sum, more than, and increased by. So those all kind of give us the red flag warning or insight as like, oh, I'm going to be adding here. Okay, for subtraction, the words that we look for are difference, less than, and decreased by. So when we see those words, we know that we're going to be subtracting. For multiplication, we'll see words like product, times, or twice, right? Twice the amount of apples. That means I need to multiply times 2. So those are the words we'll use for multiplication. And then for division, quotient. Quotient is the answer to a division problem. And divided by are key words that we'll notice that signal, oh, we're using division here. Let's go over a few quick examples of how we transition from words to mathematics in writing algebraic expressions. So for more than a number, when we read for more than a number, that means that we are going to translate that or write it out as 5 plus x. A number is what we don't know, it's the variable, right? Another example would be the product of 3 and a number. So the product is signaling, oh, we're going to use multiplication of 3 and a number. We don't know what the number is, so that's our variable x. So we would write that as 3x. A number decreased by 8, if we read a number decreased by 8, a number we don't know what it is. Decreased we know means subtraction, so it would translate to x minus 8. And then lastly, if we have twice a number plus 6. So here we have two operations. First, twice a number, so we don't know what the number is, so we identify the variable first, that would be x. And then twice a number, we know twice means that we're multiplying. So we would write that as 2x, and then we have plus 6. So plus signals that we're adding, and then they tell us what the number is. So twice a number plus 6, we translate into the algebraic expression 2x plus 6. So let's look at some practice problems. All right, we are practicing writing algebraic expressions, okay, for each of these phrases. So a number increased by 7. And remember, we just kind of went over here some of those keywords and phrases that help us identify what operation we're using. So a number, we don't know what that number is. Okay, you can make it a circle, you can make it a star, you can make it a question mark, okay, or we like to use x in math. It's just an unknown value. Increased, if something is going up, increase means I'm adding by 7. So the algebraic expression would be x plus 7. Okay, since 4 is just right here, let's go ahead and do number 4. The quotient of a number 4 and a number. So we know quotient means I am dividing. So the quotient of 4 and a number. So we're going to do 4 and a number, or 4 divided by a number that we don't know. Let's do 2 more since these go pretty quick. We'll do number 2 and 5. The product of 5 and a number. So we know that product means that we're multiplying, and I'm going to be multiplying 5 and a number. So here, this is why some people don't like using x. 5x, you don't want to get confused. This means 5 times x. So another way that we write multiplication is to make a dot. 5 dot x, which means to multiply. Another thing that we do with algebraic expressions is just put it right next to each other. 5x, when you see it right next to each other without an operation, that means we're multiplying 5 times x. And the reason why is because we don't want to get confused with xx and think that that means x squared. Okay, let's do number 5. 3 more than twice a number. So 3 more than I know means that I'm adding, right? Adding 3, and then twice a number. So 2 times a number is what we don't know, right? And I want twice that, or 2 times that. So again, 2 times x plus 3. 3 more than twice a number. So you can think of twice a number, 2 times x, and I want 3 more than that, so plus 3. So my algebraic expression is 2x plus 3. Let's look at some real life application problems with this. We're going to do 2 problems again, and again this is right out of our workbook, our Power Up problems. Write an algebraic expression for each description. So number 1, Denise bought a blouse and a skirt. The skirt costs $15. Let B represent the cost of the blouse. So I want to write an algebraic expression to show this. So we know that she bought, and sometimes if you want to draw a picture or write out the words first, we know that she bought a blouse and she also bought a skirt, which means I'm going to be adding the 2. Okay, and then we know the cost of the skirt is $15. What we don't know is the cost of the blouse, and they tell us what variable, what letter we can use for that variable. The unknown amount is B. So you can say B plus 15, or you could write 15 plus B, because in addition and multiplication, the order doesn't matter. You can flip-flop back and forth. So my answer is B plus 15, or 15 plus B. Let's look at number 3 now. We have music downloads. So you download S songs, so there's our variable again, for $1.25 each. Write an expression for the total cost. Okay, so we are going to say my total cost, however much money I spend, is going to equal the number of downloads, right, which we don't know. But let's just think about this. If I know each time I download a song, it's $1.25, okay, I could, if I just downloaded 2, I would have to add that twice. If I downloaded 5 songs, I'd have to do $1.25 plus $1.25 plus $1.25 plus $1.25 plus $1.25, which is the same as $1.25 times 5. So we know this means I'm going to multiply. And sometimes you just need to sort of think it through and work it out with the numbers to identify if you're adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing. So our total cost, and that looks pretty sloppy, so let's rewrite it. Our total cost, and if you haven't noticed already, nice handwriting is not my forte, $1.25 times S. So we just write it right next to each other. And that's our answer for number 3. And actually, as an algebraic expression, I would just write $1.25 times S. This would be an equation. Today we learned about algebraic expressions, and we learned about what an algebra expression is, which is an expression that has a variable or an unknown amount. And so this is the part in mathematics where we have enough information to solve, but we start out with an amount that we don't know. And really, in writing and deciphering how to create algebraic expressions, we need to know how to translate words into mathematics. So we looked at some key phrases and terminology that we see in word problems and in real life that help us to know what operations to use as we're solving. We did a few practice problems, and hopefully you're walking away now with a better understanding of what algebraic expressions are. We are working in our workbooks in Unit 3, and we're really talking about what algebra expressions, equations, and expressions look like for 6th grade mathematics. So if you want to know more, you can watch this video that we just covered on order of operations, and you can check out this link in the description for your own copy of your complete 6th grade math workbook. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.